Clerk will note that all the witnesses have affirmed the oath, and we will begin with the first one from the Johnson administration, Ambassador James R. Jones. Now, when I introduce you, your full statement is automatically part of the record, and any attachments you want to add to it. And then we'd like to have mostly a dialogue when you're all done, and if you'd like to summarize, we would not be offended by that. Ambassador Jones, a number of us have known for 30 years. He was a member of Congress, and I remember when I was in education, he did a wonderful job to help get the budget moving for higher education in this country. And he began his career at the White House, which was very unusual. Usually it's a more senior person that begins the career there after they're 30 or 40 or 50. He graduated from law school and then became staff assistant to President Lyndon Johnson. At the age of 28, he was appointed special assistant and appointment secretary to the president. He was the youngest person to ever hold that post. After leaving the White House, he represented his Oklahoma congressional district for 7 terms in the House of Representatives. While a member of the House, he served as chairman of the Budget Committee and a member of the Ways and Means Committee, the most prestigious committee in the House, and the one that goes back the furthest in our constitutional history. He was then appointed ambassador to Mexico in 1993, and during his 4-year ambassadorship, Mexico faced serious economic crisis with the devaluation of the peso and other economic challenges involving implementation of the North Atlantic Fair Trade Agreement, otherwise known as NAFTA. Ambassador has been honored by both the United States and the Mexican governments for his leadership, and we welcome you, Mr. Ambassador, to what was once your home here, and we look forward to your testimony.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for giving me an opportunity to testify. In brief, let me just state that the proposal to double the president's salary to $400,000 is something I totally support. I will tell you, in my 14 years of Congress, this is the first time I've had to take the oath to testify to that pay raise proposal, but I do so with it's a great honor to do so. Basically, there are 2 or 3 reasons why I think the committee and the Congress should move rapidly and approve this proposal. In the last budget of the Johnson administration 31 years ago was contained the last time the president received a pay raise, which took effect the first year of President Nixon's administration. And it is high time after 30 years that it be revisited for a number of reasons. Number one is the symbolism of the respect we have for that office. Having been in the private sector now for several years since leaving the Congress, I can tell you that the president's salary would rank at about mid-level management of an average company in the United States. And if you raised it to $400,000, it would be about equivalent to the CEO's salary of a mid-level company in the United States. Now, as was said by Mr. Turner, people don't go into public service for the salary, for the wages, the benefits. You go in to serve. But the fact of the matter is, in this country, particularly with business having such a dominant part of our lives, people do respect or not respect an office based upon what we consider that office is worth to the person that holds it. So for the first reason, I think it should be raised. Secondly, there are expenses incurred when you're president, and those expenses are both inside in living in the White House, in addition to what is provided to the president, but also in maintaining your outside activities, whether you had a home previously, or payments for education, all the things that go with a normal family. And I think that the presidents have those expenses, and even if most presidents can fully afford to pay them themselves, there ought to be some recognition that those who cannot should be able to be president and meet their expenses. The final reason that I think is very important is the effect that the president's salary has on other incomes. I have served as a member of Congress, as you say, and as an ambassador, and as a member of Congress, virtually every year, every month, we took a sigh of relief and say we made it over the line. My wife and I were able to educate our kids, etc. without having to borrow a lot of money, etc. As an ambassador, I'd had time in the private sector and was able to afford the fact that most ambassadors have to go into their personal resources to meet the regular expenses of running an embassy and representing the United States. I think that's clearly true of most people in public office. And if the president's salary is not raised, as was pointed out in your opening remarks, other incomes of high-level officials in our federal government will start bumping up or exceeding the president's salary, and there will be no opportunity for another 4 years to raise that and to raise the other salaries. I personally think that if you, and again, I'm not an economist, but if you took the salaries of all federal officials from the president throughout, including members of Congress, at the time they were established and brought them forward with nothing more than cost of living adjustments, also adjusting for times of depression when you have a depreciation, everyone in the federal government would be substantially underpaid on that particular scale. So I think the effect that it has on the salaries of other federal officials of holding the line of the president's salary is terribly important, because we do want to attract the most competent, the best people we can to public service. And when you have to have sometimes 2 homes, etc., and all the expenses of living, you need to pay those competent people what they're worth.
I thank you very much, Ambassador.